Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel, and I apologize again for not making a video in a while, but like I said in the last video, I was under the weather, and then after that my whole family's been under the weather, so I've been dealing with that, so I just haven't had time to make a video until today. But I'm just going to give an update, kind of show the garden progress here. You can see right here got these two. I'm pretty sure these are Cranberry Hibiscus. I don't think that they're Roselles because I don't think Roselle has the red in it. I think it's Cranberry Hibiscus. Plus I had a Cranberry Hibiscus planted here and they self-seed a lot, so that's why there's two of them, because I didn't plant either one of those because it was planted like right in here. Then it died after the frosts that we had, and then these two came up, so hopefully they'll get nice and strong this year. I don't know if I've shown this. I think I showed this, the cassava that I got from Cody Cove Farms in Lake Wales, and this is supposed to be a more potato-like cassava, and I've bought some canes from him and put them in here, and got some okra coming up here, the Rutabagas. They were starting to look really sad. You can see kind of it's starting to make a root. That one anyways. Let me see. You can't really see that one. And then the small one. But I have to admit, I used some of the blue Miracle Grow stuff just because my garden really needed a boost, because I'm working on improving the soil, but it's just not there yet. So I you know, it needed a boost because everything was looking kind of sad. So I used the blue Miracle Grow liquid two times. Then last night I came in here and I actually put in some kelp meal from Minerals, and I'm looking in between these. It's about time that I can cut these these Mexican sunflowers and chop and drop them because they're getting big enough. There's a cassava there, and you can see I have been having sweet potatoes pop up all over the garden. Some of them, I know I planted some sweet potatoes in here not long ago, like at the beginning of the season, but some of them I don't remember planting them. So they're just popping up wherever. And that's the thing with sweet potatoes. If you have a bed or anything of sweet potatoes and you don't get every last little tuber up, you'll have more sweet potatoes because they'll just come up again. So got some more okra here. This little mulberry cutting is looking really good. You can see how it's growing. Some more okra there. This is a different kind of okra. That's burgundy okra. It's another cassava and another sweet potato coming up that I don't remember planting. This blackberry, I'm about to give up on these blackberries. This one has put out new leaves, but that's it. It's not doing anything there. This one is just, I think, dead. My lemon cucumbers, I don't know. I just don't know if they're going to do anything. These two right here are called pickle bush cucumbers. They're actually a bush variety, and I'm trying these out. I'm doing an experiment. I have a few places in the garden that I've planted them, and I have a pot with some in it to see if I can get them to grow either way. If they do better in a pot, then that's what I'll do in the future. But cucumber can be tough to grow here in Florida, but I really, really want to have some form of pickles. So I'm going to try the bush variety. You can kind of see I kind of top dressed with the kelp meal. I tried to rake it in as best as I could, but it's not easy when you're raking around little sprouts. But yeah, it's the kelp meal, I think, is really high in potassium. Plus, it's full of minerals since it's coming from the ocean. sweet potato coming up there. I think I planted that one. There's some more okra. There's some more okra. I planted that sweet potato. And okra right there. There's a small one there, but this is why I've been hitting it with the blue stuff, because it's just, they come up and they look good as sprouts, and then they kind of turn white and just look terrible and sit there. There's a cassava starting to come to leaf. More okra, more cassava. There's my Barbados cutting that's doing really good. You can see all the those lighter green leaves are new growth. So it's growing slower, I think, than the mulberry cutting, but it is growing. So that's a good thing. And my blueberries, you can see starting to, we've had some that we've picked off that were ripe just like one at a time, like this one. That one might be getting there, but they look like they're all about to ripen. These two, this one here and that one there, are the sunrise blue, and I ordered them from justfruitsandexotics.com. They're up in the Florida Panhandle, and had them shipped. This one here that's leaning all the way over here, I hate to cut it because look at it's so leafy and looks really, really good. I bought this at a plant sale from a farm in my area, and it looks really good. This variety is called Arcadia variety, and the lady at the booth told me that these are early bloomers, so this one is probably already bloomed and we're not going to get any from this. But all three of these are southern highbush variety of blueberries, and you've got to have multiple plants. As long as they're in the southern highbush variety, they can be whatever subtype, but they have to be southern highbush for them to be able to cross-pollinate. And the other one that I have in a pot that I haven't transplanted yet is also a southern highbush. It's either an emerald or a jewel variety. And as you can see back there, the two of my loofah that I've planted is starting to vine and grow up this trellis here. The other two, that one right there may be starting to get there. The one on the end, I don't know. He's just kind of right there. He's just kind of sitting there, not doing anything. I haven't decided if I want to come back and plant more, but this is a volunteer tomato. I'm assuming that it's probably a yellow pear because I didn't plant anything here, and I think probably a yellow pear tomato landed in the soil and just popped up. He's growing okay, but he looks a little weak. So we'll see what happens. I need to plant some of those. I can't remember what that is. It might be the pickle bush. There's cassava. You can see how it's starting to put leaves on. This one's a very, very skinny cutting, so I don't know how well it's going to do. And that's, I mean, when I bought them, he said that he had already sold the best cuttings. So, but I took what I could get. This is a Hamline Orange that I planted from a seed. And it's doing pretty good. And you can see this cutting. It's pretty skinny, but it's starting to put the bigger leaves on. But this is the calabaza. It's a Cuban pumpkin. I love how pumpkin leaves get that white mottled look to them. But yeah, it's starting to run some. It's actually got some flower buds on it. It smells like the ocean out here because of all the kelp meal. Somewhere over here I had planted the pickle bush cucumber, and they may have died. I don't know. There's some more cassava with a robber fly on it. I'm pretty sure that's a robber fly. no, that's a wasp. That's a little wasp. I don't know, he's kind of acting funny. Maybe he's not doing too well, or he could be just getting the dew off of it. There's some pickle bush cucumber right there. I'm letting them try to grow a little bigger before I thin them out. And you can see here, this one is just starting to put leaves on. But that's all you got to do with cassava is stick canes in the ground and they will start to go from there. There's a yam that I had a bulb that came off of the yam vine and I planted it there and it's finally starting to come up. This is the spaghetti squash. It's actually starting to have some flower buds. I don't know if this thing vines or not. I've never grown spaghetti squash. You would think because it's got the little tendril that it does vine, but it's not going. I planted it in front of this trellis because I thought it would run to the trellis and then grow up, but I don't know. That will. Here's a okra, and this is a kit mango that I planted from a pit. You can see it's putting on some new growth. So that's what's going on in the big garden. I'll show you some of the smaller gardens that I planted. Just the smaller beds. Oh, sorry, I heard someone talking. I didn't know if one of my kids came out. I planted some smaller beds just to see. Like here's a bunch of black-eyed peas. These are so easy, you literally can do nothing to them and they'll be fine. But I'm just gonna let them, they do like to crawl, or climb I should say, but I'm just gonna let them do this and then I will pick as it comes along because it's what's worked before. This over here, I planted a bed of squash and zucchini, and those lines that you see in there are, I came and put some kelp meal in and side dressed it. So we'll see what those do. I've never actually grown squash or zucchini here, and I know it can be tough to do here. And then over here, this little spot I had planted, I had buried some kitchen scraps. That's why it was dug up. And I planted some melon, some cantaloupe, but I don't think they're going to come up here because something keeps digging here. My persimmon trees come back to life, and I think it may actually be blooming. You see the little blooms. So, but yeah, this is another spot that I planted. I kind of did like the melon pit type thing, but I didn't actually mound it up very well. But those two are cantaloupe. I'd love to be able to grow cantaloupe. I've never had any luck, but I'm trying again. Then I have one more place that I planted them. Right there. Those two, that one right there and that one right there are cantaloupe, and you know, underneath it is food scraps, and I put some lime, and yeah. So this guy right here, this loquat, is all of a sudden just really exploded. It's gotten so tall. And I had planted over here, there's a Chayate squash here, but it's just kind of sitting here. It's not really doing anything. I don't know if it will do anything or not. I was experimenting, seeing if it would climb up the tree, but it's not really doing anything. I cut this moringa down some more because it's just kind of sitting there. I see a little sprout coming off of it, but I have the hardest time getting moringa to actually do anything. A lot of times it just kind of sits there, or if it does grow, it's all spindly and doesn't look healthy. You can tell a armadillo's been in here. They come in here and they're just rooting for bugs, but they leave things a mess. I have one peach blossom. Oh, and there you go. I don't know when this tree is actually supposed to blossom, and I don't know if it's actually old enough to blossom, but it came back nicely from the winter cold, from the freeze. This one right here, though, this was an Alfonso Mango, and I think he is dead because he just hasn't come back at all. So I'll probably be pulling that one out. This is the yellow dragon fruit here, which I feel like is just not growing. It just is kind of sitting there. So I may need to tie it up some more, but it doesn't really, it never looks like it's any longer. It looks like it's just kind of sitting there. You can see I've mulched around most of these trees. I'm going to have to do it again probably quickly. Mulch goes very quickly in Florida because of the sand, the heat. There's a lot of bugs in the soil that will eat the mulch. So, but this is the Tice Mulberry. You can see it is really growing. It has doubled in height. I think more than doubled in height within like a few months. This thing is growing, and it actually made a couple, 2-3 mulberries, so we got to try them. They're pretty good. They're a little bit sweeter than the everbearing mulberry, but there's a emerald green jumping spider. Those things are pretty cool. I always welcome spiders in my garden and stuff because they will help with pest control. This is the tangerine that I accidentally ran over with the lawnmower. It came back, but it's still going pretty slow. This is that sumo citrus that I planted a seed. I don't expect anything to happen to it, but why not? And my star fruit, the star fruit that I have planted out here, came back. You can see it had died back when they had those freezes, and I cut it right there. And so it made side shoots, and it's coming back nicely. There's my other moringa, and you can see it has those sprouts coming out the side, and it's literally just sat there like that for weeks. So I don't know what to do. They just won't grow very well. My lemongrass is starting to green up again. This everbearing mulberry is going to town. It looks great, and it's got berries all over it. You can see them all in there. We've been getting at least a few berries off of it a day. We just stick them in the freezer. Some nice red ones. That one right there is starting to turn black. That's not really a shadow, it's starting to turn black, but there are berries all over it. So I always recommend anybody who's wanting to plant trees, fruit trees in Florida, get yourself a mulberry. There are so many different varieties that you can grow, but you can't go wrong with an everbearing, and this is why. Because they're hard to kill, and they produce over and over and over and over again, hence their name. So my bananas, got a new baby banana over there. This adolescent one here is growing, starting to get taller. I did lose 2 or 3 of them to the freezes, and you can see the leaves are kind of chewed up because of some of the caterpillars that we had. But I have really been trying to throw all sorts of stuff at the base. See, I had to cut that one down. It was starting to fall. I'm gonna have to cut that one right there. Not the live one, but the one right next to it, because it looks pretty dead. And that one right there. This one going up right here. Right there. I'm probably gonna have to cut that one down. But I've been throwing lots of coffee grounds, lots of scraps, lots of, you see eggshells. I put some of the blue stuff down there. I'm really trying to get these things to bloom because they have yet to bloom. And some of these have been here for at least a couple years. So I think that they're old enough to bloom. But we'll see what happens. My strawberry tree is coming back from the bottom, which I don't remember if it was grafted. That may be a bad thing because it may be the ungrafted part and it may not taste very good. And here, this of course, see, there's the caterpillar culprits right there. Those tussock moth caterpillars. I don't worry about it too much because they just eat. You can see how he's eating some of the leaves and he'll be gone. And they're starting to slow down, so I'm not all that worried about it. It's not like a hornworm where it'll decimate your entire plant. But I thought for sure that this pomegranate was a goner. After the freezes that we had, it looked awful. I thought for sure it was a goner. And there it goes again. Look at it. I wish I could figure out how to get it to fruit, but it may not be big enough. It is, I'm pretty sure it's grafted because I bought it from a plant nursery. I don't know if they graft pomegranates because pomegranates really aren't trees, but they're not really shrubs, but they're not really vines. I don't know, they're kind of weird. So, but hopefully, I'd love to get some pomegranates, but I know they can be tricky in Florida as well. This is what was sold to me as a Pakistani mulberry, and I don't think it is. I think it's just another everbearing. I know I've talked about this before, but I'm just kind of going through and giving updates. But it has made some berries, but they're extremely small. I don't know. This tree has struggled. I don't know if it likes being right, because it's right here behind this cherry laurel, this gigantic cherry laurel that I'd love to cut down. So it may not get enough sun or something. The figs are coming back. And I've mulched them. I really hope to get some fruit off of this one, but I can't figure it out. It looks good, plenty of leaves, but it just won't produce fruit. I don't know. Come over here, you can see there's another yam coming up right there. I dug up the one that was planted over there, and there were spots that were all rotted, so I took bits of it and replanted it. Hopefully it'll grow some more. And like I said, I also planted some of the bulbils from it. But let me come over here and I'll show you the my passion vine is starting to produce again this year. Mine usually produces in early spring and then it's finished for the year. I've seen a lot of people that theirs produce like late spring, summer. I've even seen some in the fall, but mine always does in early spring. This banana tree is looking really good. Got a new leaf. So, but yeah, this is producing. It's got some fruit, it's got some flowers. You can see here's some fruit ripening. So it's going down again. This is a different variety of cassava, and I swear I have like mowed over these more than once and they still come back. So cassava is just so easy to grow, and it's tough, and it can take poor soil conditions, it can take drought conditions, all that kind of stuff. But excuse me, you can see how the vine, the passion vine, is like running over there, and I'll go over there. But here's some flower, but it's running up the tree there, all the way up into here and stuff. So what I'm having to do, because of some of the fruit being way up there, I'm having to keep an eye on the ground and see if any has fallen, because when they turn purple, basically, at least this variety that I have, it kind of lets you know when it's ready to be picked because it just falls off the vine. And then what I do is I take them in, let them sit on my counter for a little while and get a little bit of the wrinkled look to them, and then they're really good and ripe, and you can eat them, but they're not really good for eating. You can see how low this, it's just a rope that I had tied across here is sagged from the weight of this vine, and it's on the ground now. I don't know, that may be a problem, it may not, but you can see where it's blooming all along here, all along here. It's really, really going right now. I don't know if those flowers have opened or if they're closing. I don't know if they've opened yet, but there's a fruit starting to form. Here's one. There's one up there, right there, that's been there a little while. It's bigger. That's probably the size that it's going to get, and now it'll start to ripen and turn purple. There's another one. You can't really see it, but it's up in here, a small one. There's a small one starting to grow right there. So I'm just having to pay attention to where they are and watch for when, because I mean, this thing is all the way up there in that oak tree. So I'm just having to watch for when, if I see any fruit that's fallen. I don't think it's quite ready yet because it just started making fruit. So, but I'm just keeping an eye on the ground back here. Here's a fruit forming right there. So, but yeah, when they'll fall off, and when they fall off, like that one right, that big one right there, maybe starting to turn. It's hard to tell, but they'll turn purple. Then, at least my variety, it'll turn purple. It'll fall off the vine, and then I pick it up and, like I said, I leave it on the counter to get, because you want them to get that kind of wrinkled look, because that's when they're really ripe. And then what I had done last season was, I mean, I ate some of them, but it's not really something you could eat, because you eat kind of the seeds and the pulp on the inside and the juice. But I would cut them and get the juice and stuff out and freeze it. So I've got a block essentially frozen in the freezer right now, and I'll do another one this year. This is where I planted my spearmint, and it's been really happy over here. I have the horseradish has come back up right here. This is horseradish, not to be confused with this right here, this lyleaf sage, but this is horseradish. I didn't think it would come back. I thought it had died, but here it is. My ginger hasn't come up yet, but it should be any time now. And when it does, it will be, I'm interested to see how far it has spread to this year. So when it does, over in this area, it will be off to the races for it, because normally when it comes up hard and heavy. I planted this is the best that this comfrey has ever looked, how big those leaves have gotten. So I know what I'm going to do with my comfrey from now on, and it doesn't like full sun. So if you grow there are some varieties that will grow in Florida. If you grow it, it does not like full sun. So keep that in mind. And over here, something snapped this vanilla in half right here. I don't know what it is. I don't know what did it. I've been trying to keep the part that snapped buried. so that maybe it will start rooting and continue to grow. It still looks like it's alive, so maybe it's rooted somewhere else. But we'll see what happens. This is probably not the ideal place for these things to climb, but that one is doing all right. Oh, there's an orchard orb weaver. You can't really see it. Right there. Right there. That little, where those red dots are. That's not a black widow. I'm gonna try to put this, I want this to go up. This stick is in the way. I don't want you. Oh, you can see where it's kind of grabbed on right there. But this is what I want. I want it to crawl up here. And I mean, I don't care how it gets up, if it gets up. So, kind of a slow going thing. Like I said, I've never grown orchids. And vanilla is a variety of orchid. And there's probably a certain type of fertilizer that you could use for it. I don't have it. I've been using what I've got. But they're still alive. That's all I can say. I thought that I'd probably kill it. So, and I've got this. My black sapote is coming back over here. I'm probably gonna have to cut some of it back. And then this star fruit here has gotten really big. Both of these have rooted right where they are. I don't know if I'd be able to get them up now. Can you see? Can you see that little wren in there? They've made a nest and they've got eggs in there. But I have another pineapple that I planted. Got a whole bunch of pineapple over here. That one died, unfortunately. I've got one growing here, and then I've got one growing out when I planted some in the ground. So they're gonna be small because they've produced more than once now, so they're gonna be small, but we're gonna have pineapple. They still taste good. And then these pots here, these 6 green pots, I bought some black sapote seeds off of a guy in a group that I'm in on Facebook, and we'll see what they do, because black sapote, you can find hermaphroditic trees, but the one I have is not. But here's those pickle bush cucumbers that I planted in this pot, and I'm letting it grow. I'm gonna have to thin it down to 1, but I'm gonna see if it grows better in a pot or in the ground, and then I'm gonna do that. This is a champagne mango. Actually, if you look, this is 2 trees. This was 1 pit, but it produced, see? But this one looks a lot better. And this is actually right here. I thought was weeds, but that is the culantro that I planted. The seeds. Let's see, this is either the emerald or the jewel. I don't remember what it was, but it's starting to make, it's got a few berries on it, so I'm not transplanting it yet, and it's sending up more plants. So I have not transplanted it yet, but I will. This, you can see the sweet potatoes that are coming up. This is a purple sweet potato that I stuck in here. It's starting to make slips. I'd like to grow some variety of sweet potato. So the other ones I have are all orange variety, which is my favorite, but it'd be nice to have some variety. I have another purple one stuck in right there, trying to get slips. Of course, the green onions. And then in here I put some potatoes. The plants look really good. I even have some volunteer lettuce coming up. But I don't know how big the potatoes are going to be able to get in here, because they're not like right. Let me zoom out some here. Here's the top of the thing. I think the actual dirt ends around this area, and then that's the water reservoir right there. So I don't know how big they're gonna get, but we'll see. But yeah, that's about it for today. And out there, I'm gonna start burning and collecting charcoal for biochar. So that's all for today. I just wanted to give a quick update since I've been absent for a little while, and I will hopefully be back to making more regular videos. Hopefully we'll be all on the mend finally. But thanks for watching as always, and please leave a comment, leave a like, and I would love for you to subscribe. And I will see you again either later this week or next week. Cross our fingers. Thanks for watching.